Illegal migration is no longer just a problem for France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, or Ireland. It is now a problem for the entire European Union, and indeed, the whole of Europe. Even the United Kingdom, which is no longer part of the European Union, faces a massive crisis on this front. Instead of focusing on various integration centers, we must seriously consider how to return all those who break the law and how to prevent further migrants from breaking the law by coming to Europe in the first place. I have in front of me a document that the Socialists are blocking. It concerns amending a directive that imposes consequences on those who arrive in Europe illegally. And what does the left want? Exemptions from liability for anyone acting on behalf of a non-governmental organization? As it happens, I come from Poland, and Poland has direct experience with these NGOs that, on the Polish-Belarusian border, played straight into Russian and Belarusian propaganda and narratives. Had it not been for the firm stance of the previous government, we would have faced a flood of hybrid warfare in the form of illegal migrants pouring across our eastern border, the external border of the European Union. So speed up the work, once and for all, put an end to the debate, and lock up anyone who helps illegal migrants reach the European Union.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to address the Swedish Social Democrats here in the House. You claim that you have always stood for a strict migration policy. But is that really true? Will the Swedish Social Democrats continue our restrictive migration policy? Will you push for re-migration? Will you reform the European Convention so that violent criminals can be deported without endless appeals? Will you make aid 100% conditional on readmission and cooperation? Will you classify Syria and Somalia as safe countries for return? And will you support permanent entry bans and keep illegal migrants who pose a security threat in detention until they leave Europe? Every time the Social Democrats and your socialist allies refuse to support a responsible migration policy, we will make sure the voters hear about it.
Mr. President, control of the European Union's external borders has improved somewhat thanks to the efforts of the member states. But it is still far from sufficient. We must provide both financial and administrative support to the countries on the external frontier so that illegal crossings of the European Union's borders do not occur at all. That would also make it possible, hopefully, to end the pointless controls at our internal borders. The processing of asylum applications must take place outside the territory of the European Union, and it cannot drag on for years. However, the biggest problem remains return policy. We need faster and more effective returns to countries of origin for those who are here illegally. Of course, I support protection for genuine war refugees, for example, from Ukraine. But those who come to us from safe countries purely for economic reasons must not be allowed to abuse the asylum system.
Mr. President, clashes involving individuals armed with sticks, clubs, axes, and pistols, gunshots in broad daylight. These are not scenes from a war zone. They are not images from Syria, nor from some extreme Islamist state. They are scenes from what was once a peaceful Cyprus. Scenes from a small European town, Larnaca. Europe is under threat from the policies of those who opened the gates to illegal migrants. Behind all this stand those responsible. The left, the Greens, the Liberals, and the fake right have led us into chaos, and now insecurity reigns in every European city. In the recent European Parliament elections, European citizens sent a clear and unmistakable message. They demand security. They demand control. They demand results. They want their neighborhoods back. They insist that the illusions of integration be abandoned and that a strict migration policy finally be implemented, along the lines that Poland has applied. Frontex announced it on the 1st of January. In 2025, we had 178,000 illegal entries into Europe. That figure is certainly down, but it remains obviously very high, especially since everyone knows full well that the majority of clandestine entries are in reality not officially recorded. These illegal migratory flows are putting Schengen as an area of free movement in jeopardy. And this chaotic arrival of populations from elsewhere is, in truth, completely unassimilable by our European nations. The situation in the Middle East, in Iran, and in Syria risks making things even worse in 2026, and the Pact on Asylum and Migration will come into force in June, but it is an instrument that is woefully inadequate. We know very well, in fact, that its provisions on relocation and mandatory redistribution will even go in the wrong direction and have a negative impact. We therefore need to take very strong measures, strengthening the EU's external borders, of course, simplifying and accelerating returns, that is the direction of the regulation currently under discussion in committee, vastly increased resources for Frontex, the external processing of asylum applications outside Europe, and agreements with countries of origin to effectively control migrant departures.